Welcome back, everybody. It's not quite spring, but it's pretty close. I'm going to show you how my greenhouse did over the winter. As you can see, I painted the panels. The panels are pretty brittle now. They're 2 years old, starting to fall apart. But the paint will extend them a little bit, as well as blocking some of the intense heat. We got up to 111 degrees in here before I painted the panels, and now we're at 92. As you can see, sunlight's still coming in through the sides of the greenhouse, so there's still plenty of light. I don't think it's going to be an issue long term. The sparrow water was closer to the center, as well as the potted plants were right up against it. This is what I moved to the corners so I can start cleaning a little bit. So I'm going to show you how the plants did, starting with the spider lemon, which didn't do well. It's planted in this corner, which has some leakage of air, and we got down to 26, even with the space heater on, for a few days, while the outside temperature was 2 Fahrenheit. So the Meyer didn't like that. I should have planted this closer to the center, or I could have grafted a piece of this to the Thai tri that I have in the back, which did great. I'll show it to you later. But yeah, it's got multiple trunks, and definitely will be using that for grafting. This potted sour orange doesn't have any damage, and I did graft a little piece of a yuzu onto this, which is still alive. Left it all winter in here to see what would happen. It didn't try to grow, but it's still green under the film. This bramble of vines here are the seedlings of my, what I thought were hybrids of Passiflora edulis times incarnata. So the majority of them died, except for these couple of seedlings in here, survived the low of 26. I don't know if that means that I have a hybrid in here. Doubt it. They could just be off types that are hardier. We'll see. I'm going to trim back all the dead stuff and keep the couple seedlings. I think it's 4 in there. Down here is a sumo, which is grafted on a rooted cutting of Thai tri. So you can see it did take some damage. It's not dead, just sad looking from the cold and then getting burned by the sunlight. This potted sour orange was not as hardy. I don't know what happened here. I see new growth in between the nodes. There's little baby leaves coming out. So it's definitely alive, and I did a side graft of trifoliate on here because I did want to borrow the vigor of the sour orange roots and possibly graft a kumquat on top of the Poncirus here. We'll see how that does. As you can see, it's in crappy potting mix, and it's still alive, which is pretty good. Can't say the same for my other citrus. This is a Feijoa, pineapple guava. Beautiful. It's so healthy looking. So with the space heater, it was fine and didn't take any damage. Eventually, I'll have to keep it smaller if it's going to live in here. Can't get too big. Right next to it is a blood orange seedling. I don't know if blood oranges come true from seed. I don't think so. I think blood oranges are a bud mutation, so I'm not sure if they come true from seed. But here is a little bud graft of either Morton or Prague Chimera that I did a few years ago, and it never grew out. This potted citrus, this was gifted to me. I don't remember what this is. This could be a sour orange or some kind of lemon. But it's also flushing with growth, and this is the one where I put the Thomasville cuttings from the branch that I broke off by mistake. So you can see this also stayed in the greenhouse all winter, and it didn't take damage at all. It looks great. And that's the Thomasville veneer graft, I think you call that, and this is a cleft graft. So we'll see if this grows out soon. I've never grafted this early, so fingers crossed. Kumquats are pretty picky with the rootstocks, but since it's a hybrid, it might do okay on this particular citrus. In the corner is a nagami, well, I should say 3 nagamis that I bound together. I wanted them to fuse their trunks, and I think they have. Some of them took damage, but the majority of it looks okay, and I see little buds growing out. It's not coming up on camera, but the top there did take some damage. My OG Meyer from Stark Bros, it stayed in here. It took a little bit of damage. This one I did a in-arch of a sour orange rootstock. Right here you can see it helped the Meyer survive in the OG potting soil, which killed most of my citrus. Now it's in 511, which I have mixed results, but we'll get to that later. This is my limequat from seed. I put it in the ground as well because, well, we're getting to the 501 mix. Yeah, it didn't do too well. It started dropping leaves. It turned yellow. Not sure if it was a watering issue or it's getting dry. It dropped the fruit, unfortunately. But I'm glad to see that it made it through the winter with just a space heater. So this is hardier than a key lime. I think a key lime would have probably died back in here. So it's definitely a keeper. Here is my Tri with multiple stems, which I will be using for grafting later on. Did pretty good. Look at this. There's absolutely no damage in here. The leaf curl is probably just because it hasn't been getting watered. We haven't had a lot of precipitation this winter. We had a couple snow days, but been pretty dry. Winters here are usually wet when it doesn't snow. And I think we only had rain maybe 2 days. Down here is a mandarinquat from seed, or I should say a couple mandarinquats from seed. Also survived the winter inside the greenhouse. This potted pomelo didn't do good. As you can see, the leaves got severely burned, but the stems are still pretty green, which is a good sign. Back here, I stuck that rooted yuzu cutting that I talked about earlier for my outdoor tree. So we're going to grow it as a single stem, see how, if we can get it to flower. This lychee stayed in here as well. The one on the left looks like it's completely dead, but the smaller one is still alive. Back here in this 501 mix is my Morton. This Morton does pretty well in this mix. Next to the Morton is my in-ground trifoliate with the Thomasville graft on top. This is the one I accidentally broke a branch off of. And there's the graft union. It's pretty good. This is potted mulberry that I found growing next to a warehouse. I took some cuttings and they rooted, and then I kind of forgot about this plant, but it's still alive. I might plant this out or use it as a rootstock, or both, right? This is a Thomasville, which is grafted on a sour orange, not a typical rootstock for kumquats. I don't know how the Thomasville is going to do on here, but it's in 501 mix. I got to get rid of that weed. Here is a little meiwa seedling, the famous space heater that kept everything alive. Here are my Morton seedlings. There's a little baby one coming up. I had this in the grow tent, but it got infested with fungus gnats, and I saw that they were eating the seedlings. Believe it or not, the little worms were eating the seedlings. In this pot is Citrumelo, right, with, I believe, another yuzu grafted on top. And my Morton, even though it's in this corner, it's good. Back here is a blood lime graft. Looks like the leaves got burned, but I still see green stems, and the Morton is starting to flush out, which is a good sign that it survived and the roots are going down deeper into the soil. I definitely need a coffee break after talking this long. I appreciate you watching, and yeah, that's the tour of my greenhouse. See you in the next video. Bye.